we're less than 1 month away from the trading deadline. 1 month away.
Really?
Yeah, it's Thursday, February 9th.
Right here, huh?
Will be the trade deadline day. And I thought this was interesting. So Zach Harper, we talked a little bit about Zach's tier article yesterday, right? When he breaks these teams down into, playoff,
firmly in the
play-in, stuff like that. And as part of Zach's write-up regarding the Kings, he asked, should they make a move? And his response was surprisingly no. This Kings squad has struggled a lot defensively, and normally I'd suggest going and getting someone. But the chemistry is brilliant right now. The offense is historic. Let this squad, I don't like the word squad, and to use it twice in like 3 sentences really bothers me.
Why?
I just don't like it.
Okay.
I don't know why.
All right.
Never have.
Okay.
Let this team ride out the season. So, Rami, your thoughts. Zach Harper says, don't touch anything. Don't make any moves. Keep this team as is and just ride the wave.
I get what he's saying. And I would apply what he's saying to the starting five. We've kicked around the idea, and more than kicked around the idea, of trading Harrison Barnes before the season started and well into the season. We were still looking for places that the Kings could send Harrison Barnes and who they could get in return to help them this year. After what he's done, and what he means to the chemistry that Zach Harper talks about, I can't move him, and I can't move anybody from the starting five. After that, I'm probably not moving Malik Monk. He's your sixth man. He's the first guy off the bench. After Monk, everybody's on the table. Everybody's on the table.
Here's the one question you have to answer. Does this trade make the team better? That's it. That's your number one priority. If you're Monty McNair, you have one job at the deadline. Make this team better. And if Monty thinks moving, Harrison Barnes, for example, is worth it, if he thinks moving Keegan Murray or Kevin Huerter are worth it because he thinks that will make this team better, then...
I'm always listening.
That's the GM's gig, right?
Yes.
And for people, I know people will be like, oh, my God, I'm not saying they should trade anybody from the starting five. My point is, if you're going to tell me how great this team is chemistry-wise, are you not going to trust the guy who built this team to make the right move at the deadline? Monty is the guy who put this team together. Monty is the guy that went out and drafted Keegan and traded for Herter and signed Malik Monk. He's the guy. He's the guy that traded Halliburton while everybody was running around like their butt was on fire. How can you get rid of Halliburton for Domantas Sabonis?
Sure.
A lot of those same people are like, oh, my God, Domas is the greatest. Like, if you're going to give Monty his flowers for what he's built, then you should trust him as to what he's going to do at the deadline.
You don't worry about shaking up the count. You trust Monty McNair that much.
Of course I worry about it. But the point is making your team better. And who knows this team better than Monty? Who knows this team better than the coaching staff? I have to imagine that Coach Brown talks to Monty almost on a daily basis, especially around this time of year. I'm sure Monty talks to him about the chemistry and how the room is. I'm sure Coach Brown's like, can you get me a backup center, please? Because I'm dying over here. I'm sure those conversations happen. But your number one job, man, as a GM, at every single step, make this team better. Am I making this team better? Is this team better today than it was yesterday? When you're in this spot, if you're tanking, number one priority is how bad can I make this team? But if you're trying to win and get to the playoffs and win playoff games like we are here in Sacramento, then your job is to make the team better. And so that's what I want. Improve the team. I know it sounds cold, but I try not to get emotionally attached to really any player. Because you have to understand that, but you're trying to improve. So if Harrison Barnes, look, all of us would be like, wow, that's a major risk. And if it blows up in the face of Monty, then he'll have to face the music. But if he trades Harrison Barnes for somebody who is clearly a better player than Harrison Barnes, then at least you can understand the move as to why it was done. Like, chemistry can take you far, but it's going to only take you so far. Talent wins in the NBA especially.
Sure. But I think that there are, and I don't know if Harrison Barnes is necessarily this guy. I think there are certain guys that are so vital to the personality and the fabric of a team that you take them off of it and things change. I'll give you an example in Minnesota. I think Pat Beverly was that guy for the Timberwolves last year, and they thought, hey, we're upgrading the roster. We can trade Pat Beverly. We've made some other moves. We're upgrading our roster here. And it took them a while, and I still don't think they've found that dog that they had in them last year in the surprising run that they made, because Pat Beverly was kind of the personality of that team and sort of the heart of that dog and the guy who set that tone.
I don't think HB is that guy.
I don't know if he is. I'm just saying that chemistry is a very, very powerful thing, and shaking it up can really mess a team up. Even if it looks on paper like, yeah, you're better, it doesn't always necessarily work out that way.
I have to trust the guy that has the job to understand that.
Sure, and I get what you're saying.
I remember when the Halliburton trade happened. Oh, my God. How can you make that move? How can you trade Halliburton? He's incredible, and he is. He's very, very, very good. But come to find out, guess what? De'Aaron Fox is better when Halliburton's not on the team. That goes in line with chemistry. How many basketballs are there, right? So what have we learned from Monty's tenure here? He gets it. He gets it. He understood. If I trade Halliburton, which is the guy I've got to trade if I want to bring back a player like Domas, because nobody's trading a player like Domas for De'Aaron Fox right now because of the contract situation.
Right.
So he understood. And what happened, right? Like, Domas came in and Domas fit. He fit the chemistry. The hug that we all talked about last year. Everybody listening to this show remembers the hug. The hug between Domas and Fox. Everybody talked about it. It was a fantastic picture. We had the ox and the fox and all that stuff last year. People thought like, oh, what are you doing? You're tearing apart the team. You're taking the best player, the future of this team, the future of this franchise, and you're trading him for Domantas Sabonis. And Domas has fit seamlessly into this operation, much as the other guys have. So, like, you can make a deal without destroying the fabric and the vibe of this team. You just have to make sure you bring in the right guy. Nobody knows let's say if you trade Harrison Barnes, who do you trade him for? Does that guy give even more vibe off? Is he even better for the team?
Right.
I don't know. Is he able to fill in for HB and just, again, like Domas, just seamlessly walk in? Like, GMs do work on guys. They talk to coaches, they talk to GMs, they talk to players. They say, hey, look, I would imagine that they would talk to Mike Brown. And I would imagine that they would have an understanding as to whether or not that player they're going to trade for would be able to fit with Domas and Fox and the rest of the guys. I don't think it would be like, hey, we're going to trade HB for this guy and just let's hope he works out.
Nobody is off limits. None of these guys are Michael Jordan, where I'm just hanging up the phone if you call me and make a trade offer. But I'm really hard pressed, and I'm heavily weighing the chemistry factor if you call me about any of the starting lineup.
But let's not forget about the premise. The premise is don't make a trade, which I think is outrageous.
Yeah, that's a little outrageous.
Like, even if you don't agree with the whole starting five and stuff and what I just laid out, right? And again, I'm not pressing to trade anybody who is critical for this team. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the GM likely knows a little bit more than us, but I'm also saying you can upgrade this team. You can get a backup center who's legitimate. Like, if Monty goes into the deadline and we walk out of the deadline, Rami, on that Thursday with a legit backup center and maybe a backup wing off the bench, I'm fine. I'm happy. Now, if you don't do anything and you had the opportunity to do something, I've got an issue because the Western Conference is wide open. You're 6 games above 500. You have a legitimate chance to climb into the top 3, starting with tonight. If you win and the Pelicans lose, you are the 3rd seed in the Western Conference. Light the beam and go upgrade your basketball team. Like, hey, man, with great risk sometimes comes great reward. But if you just told me we're going to add a backup center and a backup wing and we're going to run this team out there and see how good they can do, I'm not going to complain.
I'm good with that.
But what I won't be good with is if we get through the trade deadline and we got the same team we have right now, because you have an opportunity in a wide open conference to make some noise. Make the noise. And that's what I want to see.